Feels like a huge load is gone. You know? That's what it feels like. This is gonna go smooth. It's gonna go real smooth. This is cool. Come on over here. This is something we could spend a little more time on. These are all Star Wars figures. Well, they're not all Star Wars figures, but there's Star Wars figures in here. That they're missing their guns, but you can replace those. Or they're lifesavers. He's 1996, so he's not the earliest generation. The first gen, 78. They if they're still in their blister pack, which is the cardboard backing with a plastic front that they sit in the store, they can go into the thousands of dollars.
Really?
Yeah.
You said the first gen ones.
Yeah, and what's happened, well, kids would rip them out and play with them. And they no concept about saving them, much like with Pokemon cards years later. But now this stuff has gotten so outrageous in the prices that the valuable ones get graded. And you can send them off to the grading company, Collectors Universe or whatever they're calling themselves today. And that they'll grade it and come back, and this will be in a plastic capsule you can escape it out of. But then it destroys the grading value. But the condition of used ones now means a huge amount of difference. So, and there's some figures that came with the devices, like the intergalactic spaceships, and they're a lot scarcer. And this is a 1995 Luke Skywalker, and again, he's not the early generation, but I suspect he was in some type of device.
Oh yeah, because he's in like a seated position.
Yeah, I don't know what his rarity is or isn't. And he's not the only figure. I mean, there's like turtle ninjas and stuff, figures, action figures that are worth money. I've learned now, don't throw anything out. Make sure that you know what it is before you deal with it. And this is the guy's named Mei, M-E-I, China HK Design. I don't know if that's Hasbro, but whoever it is. And I'd have to go look him up before I decided what I was going to do with him, right? I mean, just the army ones can be worth some money, but when you get more unusual like this knight, you may be getting into more money, and somebody that deals in this stuff day to day would know who made him based on the bottom of the design, if not the overall design.
That's cool.
Something that's also important to people are their joints loose. This guy's this arm seems to be pretty loose, but this arm seems to be pretty tight. He looks like he might have been working on a aircraft carrier deck or something.
Basically, if their arms would be lifted and stay in place, that's a good thing. It falls right down.
That loose is not good. And here we have another guy that looks like he goes with a set. These green berets or something. I don't know what they are. But yeah, could be fun. We'll look and see. But we may have $30 to $100 here. Here's another clue to the age of things, is where was it made? This was made in Hong Kong. So it probably goes back to the late 60s, early 70s. And what you see in Southeast Asia is they took a lot of the American manufacturing over time. You think it would constantly chase lower cost areas as wages rose. So you went from Japan, who had very good manufacturing processes after the war, and Then it went from Japan to Hong Kong to Malaysia, Korea, and now China. And China's lost some of its base to Vietnam and other places. But you see, in the accusations with the slave labor in China that to keep their manufacturing costs down and keep the work from going somewhere else. So, but it's a good way to identify the age of things. Let's see what's in here. These are actually Zymax, made in Hong Kong. Erdl 63 Corvette. These have promise. Matchbox 1979 Corvette. These are getting old enough that they probably have some decent value to them.
Even that case, I bet, has some value to it.
That's China 84, when things started coming from China. 79 Hong Kong Corvette. And brand name cars are usually pretty good. There's a really old Corvette. Design 57, made in Hong Kong. So we might have a nice little group of cars here that I'm trying to learn as much as I can on these, because it's just so hard that so many of these were made over the years to know which are worth money and which not without picking up quite a bit of education. But these monster wheel cars are late 70s, early 80s. U.S. mail truck made in Hong Kong. That has good age, which may have some promise. But age matters in these things. That generally the older ones are where you're going to find the money. That Caterpillar tractor, 1979. I start smiling when I see things from the 70s. Old Whiz Wheels Corgi. To give you an idea how things have changed, that was made in Great Britain, not one of the Asian countries.
So would that make it like super old?
Generally older, because it just got too expensive to make things there.
Would it have been like pre-World War II?
No.
Not that old?
No, but the 60s, 70s. This is a Lesney 1973 made in England. But they may bring $20 to $40. I don't know, I'd have to look up the truck. But it's not a bad lot when you think about things in here being worth $10, $20. This is a 1975 made in England Leslie police car. But by the 80s, generally everything had left there. This is a really nice load.
You said 84 is around the time when things started being in China.
Yeah.
So between 60s and 84, things bopped around. You said from like Japan.
Well, we went from the 60s and Hong Kong making simple things made of plastic and rubber to more complex things made of metal in the 70s generally, and by the 80s things were being made in Malaysia. And to now they're made in Vietnam and China. But Macau, these are really nice group of toys, and there's some substantial value here. I mean, it adds up. Here's a dinky toy, which I'd have to look at the age of this, but it may have some. This may be our oldest piece here, back into the 50s. But I know I have to do my research. You can't know everything about everything. And you can see the quality of the Zymex paint. Let me find something to compare it to. This is a matchbox. And this is a Zymex. And if you look at...
The Zymex is the VW?
Yeah. And if you look at it close up, you can see the paint's almost translucent.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can see that. You can almost see through it.
Mm-hmm.
See on the fender here?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see some bumps in the paint.
Mm.
Where you look at the matchbox and it's not translucent and you don't have the bumps in the paint.
Mm.
Now, to a kid, those differences wouldn't really be noticed.
Mm-hmm.
That you'd rip this out and just play with it and beat it up.
Sure.
But if you look at it in hindsight and look at the manufacturing cost that went into the matchbox to get that quality
mm-hmm.
versus the Zymex,
mm-hmm.
It's going to be cheaper to make the Zymex, and this is going to be made in Asia. This is going to be made in Great Britain.
Mm.
So your labor costs are higher, and they put more money into making it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, the consumer really didn't care about the quality.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that you make a better matchbox. But you know, would have been interesting to know how much it cost Lesney and the Brits to make this
mm-hmm.
versus to make this in Asia with Zymex. But this is a heavy car. I mean, a lot of metal went into this, but it certainly doesn't have the quality of the paint. To a kid beating up things, it doesn't really matter